Abdul Qadim Haqq da Detroit è stato invitato a Bari per il seminario Reale Virtuale Immaginario nella sua terza edizione. Il tema di quest'anno è l'afrofuturismo e la black science fiction. Abdul Qadim Haqq, noto anche come The Ancient, fondatore di Third Visual Art, è un artista visivo americano, illustratore, grafico e colui che ha dato l'iconografia e quindi le immagini alla scena techno ed electro di Detroit. Dall'afrofuturismo a quella che lui chiama la sua techno art. Possiamo definirlo l'ambasciatore dell'arte techno di Detroit nel mondo dal 1989, quando ha iniziato a dipingere e ad illustrare le copertine dei dischi di tutta la scena della techno che stava allora nascendo. Qadim Haqq inizia il suo tour in Italia, da Bari, per presentare le tavole in anteprima che saranno pubblicate nel mese di novembre dal titolo The Book of Drexciya. Drexciya è il famoso duo di culto di Detroit che ha fondato la scena electro a tutti quanti nota, ha rappresentato per Detroit e non solo l'immersione negli abissi della fantascienza, una produzione fantascientifica che rinviene nelle creature marine i nuovi supereroi che riusciranno a dimostrarci nuovi scenari futuri. È l'afrofuturismo il tema da cui parte il seminario di Bari, Reale Virtuale e Immaginario. Hi Qadim, you're very welcome in Bari. We are in EXP Records, the best place to talk about your art, your vision, and first question, your Afrofuturism. What is the importance today to talk about Afrofuturism according to you?
Well, thanks for having me in Bari, first of all. Really glad to be here. I think it's really important to tell these stories, especially like Afrofuturism, because many stories are still left to be told. Many stories, there are many different interpretations to stories left to be told. And I think, and different mediums tell those different stories. So I think it's good to expose them. Like I was saying, a lot of African stories are told through music and art. And that really hasn't been studied like books have. And I think it's important to analyze those and expose them and interpret them, and also try to reimagine different works, like putting music to books, and also putting like songs into written form. And I think it's a whole new universe that can be told when we do that. So I think that's the importance of Afrofuturism. Many stories still have to be told, and I'm hoping to do some of that.
Everybody is looking forward to see the first images from the book of Drexciya. How did you come to this book of Drexciya?
Oh, well, it started a while back. Over 20 years ago, I met with James Stinson, and we discussed the concepts of Drexciya, the basic building blocks of Drexciya, the warriors, the vehicles, the energy systems. We talked about all those different things. So that was somewhat reflected in the artwork for Neptune's Lair. But also, I wanted to expand on those concepts and create a much more detailed and developed story. And I thought it could be like an epic kind of story, like Star Wars or any of those other kind of stories. So I really thought there was a potential there. And after I listened to the music, and each song would tell a story, so I thought it would be good to try to bring that to the people, and try to put the music into story form.
And when you say story form, you mean comics books. Do you think they are the best way to tell this kind of stories, so multi-layered stories?
I don't know if it's the best way, but I know it's a really good way. I mean, I learned a lot from comic books when I was young. I learned about Norse mythology, Greek mythology, Black history, and I just think it's a very important medium to tell stories, especially to young people. And I think they could get into them more, and I think the images go into the subconscious easier than just by reading books with just words.
And what about vinyl covers? That is another language. You have just one image that has to be told in a square, like a vinyl.
Yeah, it's important to get that main image. And when I listen to the songs, and I try to just come up with one main image that will be good, and then to tell a story. And usually it works out when you use like symbols and different images that people can understand. It really crosses over a wide audience, and you know, beyond nations and races and religions, and you know, human beings can understand it.
And changing completely topic, what is the music you listen at best?
What, at home?
At home, yeah, at home.
Okay, I like classical and jazz and techno, house, a little bit of rock and roll, old school hip hop, and yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's really been an honor. Thank you. Grazie.
So, Qadim, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Nice to be here.
And I have like a question to ask you. So, I'm very curious about what the creative process behind all your iconic covers was. So, was it you who came to Joan and met Mike and James and all the other guys in Detroit and telling them, hey guys, I have this great idea? Or was it opposite? Or it was like a 50-50 process, it was a collective effort?
Well, in the beginning, you know, like when I started, it was 1989, so that's about 30 years ago. And at first, I just did work for Transmat. And, you know, I went to Derek and we showed him the stuff we was doing in art college, and he really liked it, and so that's how we got started. And then more and more people from Detroit, more and more musicians and producers from Detroit heard about us. I had a partner at the time. And we started getting more work from different people from Detroit. And then some people overseas seen the art we was doing, and then they started to inquire. And then I started doing art, you know, for more projects.
So it got bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And so usually I was approached to do artwork. I mean, I usually didn't, you know, solicit my services to the different labels, but yeah, usually they would ask me to do the concepts and do the art and stuff like that.
And you came up with those amazing like images and artworks, and then like you developed some kind of mythology around them.
At the time,
let's say mythology. Yeah. I mean, now it's mythological.
Yeah, at the time I didn't know. I just was trying to do cool pictures.
Yeah.
But we would. They would send us the music, let us listen to the music. We would have brainstorming sessions and do sketches, and you know, they would really be far out. Sometimes we would smoke cannabis, and we really went out, far out, and tried to do some really spatial and dimensional kind of stuff back then.
That's great. And also another question, which is more like about music rather than the graphics. So I mean, like back in the days when house and techno and electro music started to like become famous and widespread in the US, at least in Chicago and Detroit, in those places. Like, it was a very kind of subversive and empowering kind of music, because it was mostly a bunch of kids, usually black kids, messing up with technology and coming up with something, sound styles that have never been heard before. So it was, we may say it was even like revolutionary. And the artworks, your artworks especially, were like, they were a kind of like visual counterpart of the music. So it was like, it was another way of conveying that messages. So it was not about like DJ superstar, it was not this obsession with DJs. But nowadays, I mean, like, it seems that it's becoming the opposite. So it's becoming more DJ superstar fandom VIP, and so all the images we see now, they are more the images of DJs and producers rather than the images of music and concepts related to music. So what are your ideas and opinions about it? I mean, do you think it's true or not, or why? What can we do about it?
Oh, it's very true. I mean, I've seen what's happened over the years, over the decades, and how it's become real pop. And, you know, all these different superstar DJs. Most of them I still never even heard of, to tell you the truth. Don't know any of these superstar DJs, don't care about them. You know, I got my boys from Detroit and Chicago, and that's pretty much, you know, all you need. But, you know, as long as you stay underground and true to yourself, you could avoid all that pop nonsense. And I never was into anything like that. And it's just used for exploitation and making money. And, you know, we just, back in the day, we just never had that in mind. It was just for the love of everything. And, but you know, that's what happens with everything in the world. They try to take it and exploit it and to make the most money. But as long as it's underground and people who really love it, true to their hearts, it's always going to be people doing it the right way. Yeah, so, you know, if we could just avoid all that pop nonsense and, you know, just be together, join together ourselves, I think we still be okay.
And I mean, like, maybe this, like, going mainstream can at the same time make the underground grow stronger, because it can develop as a reaction to all the mainstream, all that pop dance music. So you have like people going, all the underground producers and DJs going in the opposite direction and like working even harder, maybe. That's what happens in Detroit and Chicago, all those places.
That's exactly how I feel, and it's still big in Detroit. If any of you guys ever came to Detroit, you still see a thriving underground techno scene. And yes, exactly. And so as long as that's happening, you know, this music will never die or go away or be taken over by the pop stars and the superstar DJs and all those different people. Yeah.
Really hope so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know it in my heart.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.